to wear every single denim cotton that you're closed with. You're closed with.
Mind, body, and soul. Was a plan when you have no goal. Was a dream when your gray matter really takes toll. Like a feet when your shoes when you have no soles. Rocks the gold, riches no soul. Yeah, told myself that I get better. Yeah, told myself if I keep raining I get better.
Hello, welcome to Kindred Conversations, Living Black in Lowell, with me, Maritza Grooms, and we have Masada Jones, and today we have Raysam Donkoh-Halm.
Yes, that's it.
Correct.
Right. Hello, folks at home.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Been a fan from afar for a little bit now.
Appreciate it, thank you.
So you know you made it. I'm like, no.
Clearly, we are that.
we're popping.
Yeah.
So yeah, Raysam, tell us about yourself. What do you do?
What do I do? Well, again, like pretty much like my main thing is filmmaking, television, writing, things like that. Really like stuff within like the entertainment type of industry. Again, like I was born and raised in Lowell, like pretty much like my entire life. I was like in the Centerville area. I grew up in kind of like the Lowell public school system up until high school, where I went to Neshoba Valley Technical High School, where I was actually able to like capitalize on like the whole TV production, because like that's what I went for my trade. It was like TV media and theater production, so I kind of like dabbled into both, and then that actually really helped me find like my footing in terms of like the kind of stuff I want to do. Where I went to Framingham State and majored in communication, recent graduate.
Hey,
so,
congratulations.
Thank you. Major at that whole BA, a whole BA.
Yes.
Yes.
Right now, it's pretty much the thing. I'm like kind of post grad, like kind of balancing between like projects that like I couldn't have time for because I was in school,
Right.
and also like finding like something to get an income, which like I have now. I'm going to be working.
Overrated. No, I'm kidding.
I wish.
You don't need to eat.
I'm going to work at the Boys and Girls Club as a teen enrichment coordinator come August.
awesome.
So like yeah, like some really good stuff. I'm really about like community and things like that, and really trying to like become known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
Yeah, thank you.
And you have a few projects right now.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about those projects.
Okay, so my first kind of like hallmark feature film as like a director of some sorts is called Days of Division, which was the documentary about the Lowell High School debate, pretty much like where it was going to be, whether it was going to be downtown or College Stadium. And I produced that in again like at Framingham State through my documentary class, where all students could essentially like bring like a topic to the board, which like they wanted to do. We had like two groups. Both groups actually were kind of doing something related to like schools and politics. However, like I feel like our group was like able to really get like a product that like we're all very, very proud of. We've had like multiple screenings of it so far. First at Elliott Church, then at I believe the Air Lofts Gallery, the Lynn Theater we've had a premiere at before. LTC we've had a premiere at before. I'm working currently right now to see if I can get like it in the library over in like Lowell. Also the one in Tewksbury as well, because like I talked to them over there, they were saying like, oh absolutely, we would love to, you know, because like that whole high school thing was like big.
It
like,
was,
everybody had like some type of opinion on it, and like just going through like interviewing like people like on like both sides, because like the main objective of like the documentary was to essentially like take you through like the why there needs to be a new high school, why there are these two different views on it, like, and it kind of takes you through like up until like election day, and then it ends pretty much on like, oh, what's gonna happen, because like we don't know.
Yeah, right.
For, like 5-6 years when that high school built, like maybe I'll do a follow-up documentary, which has been like a question a lot of people have asked me.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, are you gonna do a sequel, Raysam? I really hope I don't have to.
Right. We shall see. And there's something else. Didn't you start your own production company?
Yes. I started my own production company, Lame Cool Productions. It's because like I just kind of feel like I'm a mix of the both. You know?
Aren't we all?
Right? And pretty much what I have under there as well is I started a comic strip back when I was in college too. It's called Dry Campus, and it's a kind of like a dry satire comic about like just like this college campus that's in like the middle of nowhere where pretty much like in every direction 500 miles is just like wheat fields and just how like gray and draining the campus is. And just like how like, and it's like super like some stuff like people are like, oh, like I love this. This is like the school newspaper's Garfield or something. Like that. I don't know, Boondocks rather. Boondocks. I would put it as that.
Yeah.
And I was actually able to put it as a 2 episodes for an independent study like during like my last semester. So it was like great that I was actually able to like. And that was like not like my intention at all when I first started the comic. Like again, like I did that like again in like a comic class. And I was just like, oh, I love this like concept. Like people really like this concept, and like I'm like, oh, TV is just like my thing. You know? And I really wish I could like transfer it into that. And then I had like just amazing people at Framingham State like supporting me, doing like whatever, being like, of course we're gonna give up our Saturday to do this.
We're gonna make it happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And we did, and we had like the premiere in one of like the dorm campuses, and like that was. Like it was like a packed house. I was just so surprised and like just felt like so loved.
Awesome. I want to see it.
I know.
It's up on YouTube. Right? This episode 1. Definitely, I'll put you guys on.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, that sounds really cool. Good for you.
And can we share it on our Facebook page too?
Yeah, of course.
Because that's the thing I want to do.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sharing.
Everybody needs to see this. Yeah. And okay.
So what does your Lowell look like, especially like coming from like being part of Lowell here and then having that different community going to Neshoba Tech?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my Lowell, what that looks like to me, again, pretty much like born and raised in like the Centerville area, grew up in high school up until like, or pretty much like went through Lowell public school. So I've always like been around like at least like either it was majority or at least half minorities in school systems. And then when I went to high school, it was like the first time like ever I felt like a minority because like it's up in like Westford area and I was one of like 2 black people in like my like graduating class, like period, like only black male in like the graduating class. And again, like for most of the school, like at the first I just like resented it because I was just like, I do not want to be here. I would much rather be there. And then eventually I warmed up to it. Like I kind of like was able to like weave my way through and become like a lot more popular there and just kind of really be able to do my own thing. But in terms of Lowell, when it comes to like the black community, I feel it's a thing where like I'm also in like a very specific kind of like blackness where I'm like first generation. Like my like parents immigrated here from Africa, so I'm able to connect with, I feel a lot more other like kind of like black people in like the city because like in the city like there's like some like African cafes, like there's some food shops, like I see like more clothing shops and grocery stores and things like that, so I've always had that to connect to. However, it feels like it's much more like there's no like black center, like there's no like real like place where we're just like, oh yeah, this is like a for us type of thing. And again, like it's kind of like Centerville, you have more of that kind of, but like it's not really like as solid as I would like it to be. Right. Coming to like the African festival and stuff like that too. Like I've like again like my dad was like there since like the inception and stuff like that. So like I've been going to every single one, and I just kind of like see it, and I'm thinking like, oh, this is supposed to be like the Lowell community, Africa's best foot forward, and I just kind of see it and I'm just like, we could do so much better. You know what I mean? It's kind of like one of those like, I'm getting to a point where I'm like certain things just like make me like just really like angry and passionate because like I can design it right. I can design this flyer better, like let me know how, you know what I mean? I actually really want to like look into that kind of stuff because I feel like we just really need to like adapt to what it is, you know what I mean? Really be able to put that forward and actually bring those ideas.
Right, rather than being like, this could be better and then not doing
not doing anything. Right.
Because pretty much what happens if you just kind of like, look, it's always great to have conversations like that for sure. However, it's also another thing too, to be able to come up with solutions. If you don't come up with solutions, then you become complacent.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, that's just what is, not what it should be.
Right. Like you said, it's always easy to just sit around and talk, but I feel like when it comes to action items, people are like, oh, I'd rather not.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and it takes work.
Right. Not everybody's gonna be the spearhead. Like some people just like
Right.
would rather wait to the side and be like, oh yeah, in 20 years, like we'll get this. And I'm like, what?
Not if we don't start caring.
Right.
And do you feel like that's something you get from your dad? Because he's always been a part of like community work
Yeah.
and always
Making
pushing
moves,
things forward.
Right. No, that's definitely a big thing for me too. Just like being in that environment where you're like, again, like my family is just very unique when it comes to that kind of stuff because like my dad is just such like a community involved person and like my brothers, like my mom to an extent too. And it's kind of one of those things where it's kind of like curious where it's just like, I just kind of grew up in this family where like they like actually supported when I wanted to become like a filmmaker instead of like doctor, lawyer, or
Right.
whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
definitely my
What
dad's
was
tried
that
it.
like? Yeah.
It was always like, Raysam, you could go to this and do that. And like even like yesterday, he was like, oh, like I'll talk to my friend that's a newscaster. I'm like, I don't, you know, like it's just not my thing.
Right.
But it's great. I feel fortunate to have that for sure because it's like, oh, like you have so many. I have friends and family that were just like, who are just like, oh, I went to school in the village. I sold this in the village. I walked here in the village. Blah blah blah. Like, and I came all the way here. What do you mean open mic night? It's like, so I'm very like, great to be fostered in that kind of
Right.
environment for sure. I'm not sure if I answered like the question.
No, I mean I think that
so,
it
yeah.
gives us context as to like who your dad is and the
Right.
family that you're coming from for sure.
Right, and how supportive the family is.
Yes.
Was this always like a thing for you? Like you always wanted to be in TV or production?
Ooh, I actually remember like kind of being in one of like, I want to be in entertainment. I remember like, I used to like think I'm funny. I still think I'm funny. But like just different types of funny. Like I definitely feel it's just like, oh, what makes people laugh in eighth grade is not going to make people laugh.
Right.
You would hope. But
Depends on your circle.
Right. But yeah, like at first it was like acting, and even like at LTC, I was on like the Bob Show for a little bit too. I just had like a whole bunch of like things, and then after eventually I was just like, I want to write, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I just kind of like, I have a passion for passions, if that makes any sense.
No,
Like,
totally.
I really,
Yes.
I really like just being
100%.
able to do like, oh, like I've never tried that before,
Right.
and if it's like something like I'm not about, I'll be like, I feel like I know myself to be like, okay, I'm not about that,
Right.
but like this I'm curious about, and I'm willing to try it, good or bad, it's a coin toss.
Right.
So yeah, you know, that's been pretty much like that experience.
So what sparked? I mean, you may have spoken about it already, but like when you went to Neshoba, what made you get into film?
Ooh,
Like what was the?
Because like I'm sure you do
Yeah.
all all the like you try out the trades and stuff.
You
Right.
do.
Yeah.
I remember just kind of being like from like the jump thinking like, oh, like this is, and it's actually really, really unique too because like had I went to the Vogue, it would have been much more like the graphic design type of thing because they did not offer that trade.
That's what I was going to
Right,
ask.
yeah.
Right. So it was like unique for me in that type of way. And again, like at 14 years old, I wasn't really like, that was kind of like the one thing I was just like, well, I guess they have this and this is what I'm into. But yeah, I guess like I've also like been volunteering at LTC for a while too, so I'm not exactly sure what the exact like moment is. Yeah, no, it's just always been
Just a natural.
Right.
Like,
It's just like, yeah,
became a part of your life. And you're like, yeah, I'm here. This is what I'm gonna
like
do.
I watch a lot of this stuff, you know. Why not? But in terms of like how that affects me as like a filmmaker, I would say that definitely gave me like an edge up when I was like going to college because I was just like, oh, I know how to use this, I know how to use this. But it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, I know how to use this, but I could learn more.
Right.
I can always be like learning like this kind of stuff. And of course, like Framingham, like their model is pretty much like, it's not just straight television production. Like you're gonna learn how to make websites. You're gonna learn how to do this, do that. It's like one of those things where it gives you like a broad palette of things. However, it's kind of one of those like, do you wish that you had like, that broad palette, or do you wish that you just had a concentration? You're just like, this is my thing, and I just know everything about this thing. And it's kind of like, so if anything, I'm actually pretty glad I have like the broader scope of it because it allows me to like have that spectrum of things. And if I like look around me and be like, oh, I'm talented in these sorts of things, like which stuff do I want to pursue? You know what I mean? Which kind of stuff do I want to build towards?
Right.
So yeah.
I can dig it.
Yeah. Now, because this is Living Black in Lowell, has your blackness ever affected what you do, or did it inspire you to do what you do, or does it have any impact?
Ooh, let's see if I could. I mean, like as just like a person, like yes, because like I can't turn this off.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's always going to be a thing. In terms of how it affects.
Or does it even inspire your work, or?
I will actually like let you know about like something like a recent thing that's for me is that again with like the documentary I've been kind of like going through like the process of film festivals, which is like, hey, like submit this to this place or to this festival, maybe you'll get in, but like either way, like that's $200, Raysam, and like well, you know, but it's kind of one of those things where like in my research of film festivals, it was like a thing where like I'm really interested in like the Roxbury Film Festival. Like that one, like I didn't make it this year. However, it's kind of one of those things where I was actually going to pose it to like the two of you, where I wanted to create another follow-up documentary about the Black identity in Lowell. And I feel like what you two are doing is just like great work and like good stuff. That I'm glad that people are talking about this kind of stuff.
Thank you.
And right, you know, like
We don't hear that at all.
you should. But one of the things I want to do is because like I've always like kind of felt this thing where it's just like, oh, I wish we had this. I wish like why do we have like so
Lots
many
of
of these
wishes.
types of right, like so many. And again, like I'm watching like these like documentaries that just kind of like follow certain people, organizations, and like when they're trying to do certain things, and like that would actually be something I'd be, if you guys were like up for it, I would love to like follow you at like events when you're coming to sessions, like even like before the events, just to like follow you and just kind of really have like that thing where it like brings more of like that type of light to it, and also involve like other people as well. I've talked to one of the restaurant owners at It's a Wrap in Drake.
Okay.
Have you been there before?
No.
Dude, every time I go, it's either like, because I've tried to eat there like a few times. Either like it's incredibly busy, or they have like, or they just have one staff on and they're just like filling like a bunch of to-go orders. So like I've just never been able to eat there.
It's really
yeah, I've heard it's really good. I'm like, I want samosa.
Right.
I'm like, I want to try it. I just haven't been able to.
No, like that's part of the thing too, where it's like I like look at that place and just like I look at the menu, I'm thinking like how many places like this close by are actually like serving this type of food.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And the thing is too, like West Africa, like our food is really good. I really don't
agree.
understand why like we don't have like restaurants pop. But like it's also another thing too, where it's like I talk to like my cousins, right, who like again like who are either like born in Africa or first generation like me, but have much more of a thing. And I talk to like my other family members as well and friends, and it's a lot of like they think that like, oh yeah, like Africans like primarily are working in like this one type of field where it's just like maybe like nurse care work or things like that, and it's like a thing where people have told me like, oh yeah, it's like usually like you want to go for the most secure thing,
Right.
You know, you want to make sure that like you know that you're going to go do this, and you're only going to work at this level, because to go with the other one, like there's a bunch of risk factors. You have to worry about yourself, you have to worry about family, and like you're going to school at the same time too, because like so many times when like people come over here from like not just Africa, but like just any place else, you know, it's kind of like a thing where whether you went to like college, whether you like or like this old, like you always have to like start over at like an 8th grade level or something like that. Just because it's not seen as valid, even though like, those kids are so much smarter because like they don't have the luxuries of a calculator.
Right, exactly.
They know like how far it takes for like this train to be moving there, like, you know, all that stuff. So it's like one of those things where it's like, I wish that like I could see more Africans in certain like in other types of fields, like not only just like. Because again, like I'm not like advocating like I'm anti-black lawyer doctor, like let's more, but like I'm also saying like I would love to have more like painters, visual artists, and things like that in the city, because like for the Merrimack and Collage of the City feature film project that I'm also attached to, I've been talking to like a lot of artists, and for their thing is that they're saying like, yeah, like we really don't really know any like black artists within the city too, and I'm also thinking like I'm not gonna sit here and just be like, I'm the only black filmmaker in Lowell. That's crazy, because I know other people want to do that kind of stuff and like also do that kind of stuff, whether it be like through like African films or Instagram or things like that. But it's like all like creative stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like one of those things where Lowell doesn't necessarily have like a film scene that I'm aware of, really.
Or even like a black creative scene of any kind.
Because we're definitely out there, but I think that's still, I think what I would like to be able to see the Kindred Project do is like that folks are kind of telling us like, hey, we're here, so that we can like at least get the word out. So like even if you're here, you're saying like, hey, I'm Raysam and I'm doing like this and that, so that we can like bring in other folks and say like, hey, how about you guys like partner? Because this is another person who's like a photographer or all the things. Because we're definitely out there, but I think that we have to put it out, put the word out.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what we're trying to do is just build that community anyways, because like you said, like there might be those people out there, but where we at, we don't know. And so we're trying to make this effort to bring all of us together and like you said, collaboration and promoting each other and making sure that we're supporting each other's work as well. I think that's just so important. Yeah.
Because you're definitely not the first person to say such a thing.
Exactly.
Because there are tons of artists out here, and it's like, but where are we at? Like, that's just constantly the question for all the things. Like, where are we at? And I think because we don't have, like you mentioned, like a center or some kind of hub that's like for us.
Right.
So it makes it that much more difficult.
And that's the other part of it too, where like say the population where like we are out here, but like how much of us are out here? You know what I mean? It's like that's always like a thing where it's like say you go over to like Worcester, there are more African restaurants and things like that because that is like a large African population. Not to say that there isn't like a large any type of black population like here, but it's like one of those things where it's like we're runner up to like Spanish people, like Asian people on top of that, and like a whole bunch of other things as well. So it's definitely like one of those things where it's just like the numbers are there, but like
the cohesion is missing. Yeah.
Because like again, like I do like Lyft on the side too. Like so like I was like driving over to like the Mattapan, Dorchester area for like the first time, really, and I was thinking like, wow, there are just so many black people out here, like everywhere, and it was kind of like one of those things where it like really like put me beside myself because I was like so used to seeing just like so many different types of people that I was just like what?
Now imagine I came from Roxbury and moved here 6 years ago, and it was like. Where are we?
Yet again, the question. Where are we?
Right. It's like just all over.
Right.
That's part of the thing.
Yes, it is like a lot of seeking out, and we've talked about like how historically separations of communities in Lowell have really kind of impacted all the immigrant communities, all of the groups that were coming in, but it seems to really have like negatively impacted the black community in a way that we are really spread out, and there's no central place, there's just nothing, and it's hard to build that unity and build that cohesion when we're all so spread out and we just don't know where we're hanging or where we're frequenting.
And that's the other thing too, like I remember like you talking like on like your other show as well, and I was like thinking like, like that's such a good point that like Lowell's like an immigrant city, like through and through, like so like that like Acre Greek site, you know what I mean? Like there used to be French Canadian section. There used to be like a thing where they come and establish themselves. Right. But like when it comes to here, where again like we have like the few shops here and there, but it's not really like we came and like established ourselves. We came and established roots here. We had politicians I don't know if like any.
I mean, I think we've definitely like run.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Right, okay. I'm thinking like,
And you can go into City Hall. I haven't done this yet, but you can look and see. It's actually really interesting, like through the decades, who's been on the city council and like knowing which group just came in, and that's usually like that first generation, second generation. Now we've established ourselves and we've risen to political power, and now we're leaders here.
Right.
Where are we again? Yes.
And there's a lot of repeat names too, it's a lot of that kind of stuff for sure.
Oh sure. Yeah, there's no legacies here.
Right.
So yeah, is there anything else that you're working on or that you want the audience to know about?
Yes, actually. Like I do, again, like I mentioned before, I was part of the Merrimack and Collage of the City feature film projects. So like I've come on there, like I think like 2-3 years now, really. Like, and it's like been like a journey so far. I've been working with Jonathan Stevens on it, and like it's like such like a great thing that like I'm actually able to like do the kind of things that like I want to do, because like again, like I know like so many people like just fresh out of college who were just like, I majored in this thing and I can't do it because of so many other circumstances. And I'm very fortunate to be able to like have kind of known him before, but like now it's pretty much a thing where we almost see each other every day.
Yeah.
And we're just like, oh, we're working on this thing. And so yeah, like right now we're in like the fundraising part for that one. So it's like the documentary, which is Collage of the City, which we're also having like gallery showings for. So far we've had like multiple gallery showings. We're actually having another one here at LTC, I believe August 9th at 7 to 9. So like pretty much like that'll be the entire collection like that, like because like we've had it rotating from gallery to gallery. Like this time it's going to be like even all the stuff that wasn't printed, all like because it's like a lot to go through, like all the photos that we did for like, that entire month. So that'll be like a really exciting thing. So definitely come to that opening reception. Right now it's also another thing to do, like raise money for actually to produce the feature film. So right now like that GoFundMe is up too. So like you can pretty much like go look on Facebook, look on like the search up like I believe like the Merrimack or like the Collage of the City feature project. And just really be able to like donate anything that we can, because we're trying to do this as independently as possible.
Okay.
Wow, yeah, that's
So can you explain the difference between the Merrimack and Collage of the City?
Yes. So pretty much the Merrimack was like the actual thing that Jonathan instead, like he was just like, I want to create like a feature film movie, right? That's always been the thing from like the jump. However, he was a thing where he's thinking like, oh, I want to be able to like cast like a really wide net, get like the whole community involved in this kind of thing. So what he did is that like he was actually able to like rent out some cameras, rent out some equipment, going through and just like connecting with the people that he knew or the people who people knew and stuff like that. And eventually all of that footage just became like backlogged, and like it was brought up to him, where I think he maybe thought of it, where it's just like he has like enough footage here for a documentary, or rather like 3 documentaries, which is the plan.
Wow.
So like we have all of that footage, and like again, like I've kind of looked at it before, and like when we first started, I'm like, so what? You know what I mean? And it's like it's so funny to actually have like the materials for a documentary on accident, because like so many people just like go through with documentaries with plans and things like that. So pretty much what it is that like we're raising money for both. We're trying to get like somebody to be able to edit it, maybe me. And then we're also having like a feature film as well, which like right now we're going through like the consultant phase and things like that, just to be able to like punch up with the script and make sure that everything's coming from like a realistic place. After that third draft, we send it over to like a script doctor. Then with the money we have, we just start producing the thing.
Wow.
So, really, really exciting
things.
stuff.
Yeah. You guys are out here hustling. Wow, that's so exciting.
Yeah, no,
You've
really
had
good
so
stuff.
much going on. I'm happy to support anything that's happening. Well, that's what we do. That's what we want to do.
Right.
But I'm so glad that you're able to come on the show today and just like give us like such a great background into what's going on with you, but also like I feel like your perspective is just so like unique to your experience and being born here, like you said, first generation of African immigrants, and I think that's a really interesting background to have and to be able to share. Yeah.
And I appreciate you also reaching out to us and saying like, I love what you're doing, and we're like, heck yeah, I love what you're doing too. So we definitely were like are like super grateful when you agreed to come on the show. Like super grateful. And also to show folks who have been questioning, what does black mean? Like if you identify like as black, then that's all.
That's what it means.
You know what I mean? So I also appreciate that it wasn't like a question for you. It was just like, nope, love what you're doing. I'm coming.
Right.
Like, you know.
You know, that's just like a thing. You know what I mean?
Thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you to all our viewers for tuning in. This has been Kindred Conversations, Living Black in Lowell.
When you have no goal. Was a dream when your gray matter really takes toll. Like a feet when your shoes when you have no soles. Rocks to gold, riches no soul. Yeah, told myself that I get better. Yeah, told myself if I keep raining I get better. Yeah, seeing myself.